Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days for today's second video. So that's going to take us to around the 21st of June, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that the extended GFS. We haven't got the ECM ensembles today, unfortunately. For some reason, can't get on to the Icelandic Met Office. They seem to be down, so can't bring you those charts, but we will have a look at the CFS-V2 at the end of the video for the next month. So the ECMWF 30-day update has been released. That's looking at weather across the UK and the rest of Europe for the next month, take us into the early part of July. A lot of mixed weather on the way, always hottest over on the eastern side of Europe, and not doing terribly well for temperatures or for rainfall in the west. But have a look at that anyway and see what is going on. I think we'll have the last update for Le Mans for you sometime, or for the folks at Pistonheads community, at some time at the end of the afternoon into the early part of the evening. They're going to be heading off to Le Mans very soon, so we'll bring the final update for that later on today. Right, going to start off with the latest observations from XCweather.co.uk, and it's a pretty grim afternoon out there this afternoon, although having said that, we have got temperatures up to 18 degrees in the extreme southeast corner, so it's not too bad, the temperatures in the southeast. Down at Southend, not too bad there, 18 degrees. Biggin Hill is at 17 degrees. We've also got London Gatwick up to 17 degrees as well. So London City Airport's at 18. So in that extreme southeast corner, we're sort of up into the mid-60s Fahrenheit. Doesn't feel too bad. But you don't have to go very far north to find the temperatures are very, very poor indeed. So for example, at Luton we're only at 12 degrees as we are at Cambridge, and going further northwest of that, well, Church Lawford near Rugby is at 11 degrees. Wellersbourne Airfield is at 11 degrees. Birmingham Airport just 10 degrees, 50 Fahrenheit at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the 11th of June. That's absolutely atrocious. East Midlands Airport at 10 degrees too. Nottingham at 10 degrees, going further north to Leeds Bradford, only 10 degrees there. Leamington-on-Ouse 11 degrees, and Bridlington 11 degrees. Must feel pretty grim at Bridlington on the North Sea coast, with a strong northeast wind tipping down with rain and a temperature of 11 degrees. Feel sorry for anyone who's gone on holiday to Bridlington. Fylingdales is at 9 degrees, so barely into double digits there. Bulmer at 11 degrees. Carlisle at 13. As we go back towards Scotland, it actually gets a bit warmer again. It's more and more sunshine as we get up towards Scotland. So Glasgow is up to 15, Strathallan up to 14, Edinburgh's at 14. I mean, these temperatures are nothing to write home about, even those are pretty cool, but not quite as atrocious as further south through kind of like Wales and Midlands and Northern England. Over into Northern Ireland, Belfast is at 13, and we've also down to Wales got Sennybridge at 8 degrees. That's shocking. Shobdon is at 10 degrees on the Welsh border, and Shawbury is at 10 degrees too. So you get the idea that we're just about crawling our way into double digits. So it's sort of crawling there by a fingertips type day, just about managing to reach double digits through parts of the Midlands, Wales and Northern England. But these are shockingly terrible temperatures for like a June afternoon. For 11th of June, it's around 10 degrees below average for June afternoon. Or to put it another way, if this was to happen in January, we will probably be seeing maximums of around -5 or -6 degrees, 10 degrees below the January average maximum temperature. So very cold day out there, and also pretty wet too, although the worst rain is beginning to ease a little bit now. I think we'll probably see some heavy rain moving back in from the east though into tomorrow. Now the CET has gone below average. So we looked at this yesterday, and I said very shortly the CET will go below average. We're now down to 13.4, an anomaly of 0.1 of a degree below average. That's provisional up to yesterday. up to the 10th. And obviously with the shockingly terrible temperatures through the Midlands and Wales and Northern England, we are going to see this dropping further when it gets updated tomorrow. I would have thought by the weekend we're probably going to be seeing that around 13 degrees, maybe even a little bit under 13 actually by the time we get through to the weekend, so somewhere in the upper 12s I would have thought. Where we go beyond that, of course, will be determined by what happens in the second half of the month, but obviously this is not going to be an overly hot June at all. It's going to be a very, very different month compared to June last year. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. So let's go read on at Melton Mowbray today in Leicestershire. So I'll have to have a look at Melton Mowbray. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Melton Mowbray. Upper air temperature is actually quite close to average, but of course it's a lot colder than that down on the surface because there's so much cloud. We're bringing in a northeasterly wind, it's pouring down with rain, so that's why surface temperature is actually a little bit colder than you would think by looking at the upper air temperatures. Now we have got a little bit of a warming trend appearing today in the GFS ensembles as we look out into the second half of the month. That's this period just here. We do see that the ensembles generally are trending a little bit above the red line now. So as we go into the third week of June, it does look as though we might see something a little bit warmer, and this was showing up within the ECMWF 30-day look ahead as well. There is a chance of something a bit warmer happening through the third week of June. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but for a time temperatures might get a bit of a pickup. Very unsettled. Look at all these rainfall spikes that we've got from Melton Mowbray in the next day or so, up to around Thursday. Friday, very wet conditions indeed. Over the weekend, there's a bit of a drying trend though. Not completely dry. There will still be showers around over the weekend, but looks like it goes a bit drier. But into next week, generally quite unsettled again, actually. So although temperatures might pick up a little bit as we go into the third week of June, it looks like overall it's going to be quite unsettled with further showers, if not perhaps some longer spells of rain. Temperature anomalies from the 11th to the 19th of June, below average for the UK and for Ireland and through France and down Spain and Portugal as well, but warmer than average temperature anomalies through central and eastern parts of Europe. Precipitation anomalies above average, particularly so for England and Wales. These may start to dry a little bit over the next few days, but at the moment, for the 11th to the 19th, the anomaly is still significantly wetter than average, particularly for England and Wales. Over in America, there's a proper east-west split going on. So on the western side of the states, much warmer than average, very, very warm in the Pacific western side of America. But on the eastern side of America, from the breadbasket through to the eastern seaboard, generally below average with temperature anomalies. Quite cool early summer weather on the eastern side of the states. Precipitation-wise, relatively dry around this Pacific coast and also from many of these southern states, but through the Midwest and going up into the east, it does look quite unsettled actually with showers from state to state. Right, so this is how the GFS is looking back home on Friday with low pressure over Scotland, bringing in this showery westerly wind. Still loads of northern blocking. Look at all this high pressure still there up around Greenland, sending the jet stream southward. So it remains quite cool and showery really through to the end of the week. The weekend, low pressure is in control. We're going to lose a torrential type rain that we've got at the moment over the weekend. So it's not going to be as wet over the weekend, but there will still be showers around. So it'll be a case of showers, possibly longer spells of rain for northern and western parts of the country. Driest conditions probably down in the south and southeast, close to this ridge of high pressure. It's building across France, particularly so for Sunday. And temperature's probably lifting up a little bit, probably still a bit below average, but getting closer to average. So improvements, if you like, over the weekend, rather than anything particularly exciting. Into the early part of next week, well, for the south, it looks like we again try to build a little bit of a ridge down across the south, although northern parts of the country likely to stay relatively cool and showery. And then as we go to the second half of next week, the GFS wants to move this high pressure out into the middle of the Atlantic, start to pull down some cooler winds from the north. But it would be mainly dry. There will probably still be showers in northern and eastern parts of the country, but a lot of dry weather on offer there as we get to day 10 which is Friday the 21st of June. But high pressure is bringing a reasonable amount of dry weather, but it's quite a cool air mass. You see what I mean? The wind is kind of like still coming from the North Atlantic rather than anywhere to our south. In the more extended range, though, we do start to pull up some warmth from the south as we head into the final week of June. This is Tuesday the 25th of June. Just starting to pull up some heat from the south there as low pressure is to the west of Ireland. It looks very unstable. Any heat would not be sustained for any length of time. With low pressure just out to west of Ireland, it will quickly go thundery. But just for a time, yes, we do start to pull up some quite hot air from the south with the upper air temperatures beginning to push up, maybe enough to get us to around the upper 20s Celsius. But again, it's a very, very brief sort of plume of hot air. We're quickly going back into cooler, fresher weather, I think, by the end of a GFS run, which gets us to Thursday, 27th of June. Probably a fungy breakdown going on at this point with cooler air moving in from the west. GFS parallel run looks like this. Remember, tomorrow the GFS parallel run will become the operational GFS. So that's going to happen with the midday run tomorrow. So we'll talk about the operation parallel for one final time tomorrow, and then that will be it. We'll only have one operational run, which will be the upgraded parallel, if you see what I mean. So anyway, parallel run today looks like this. Cool, showery, unsettled on Friday, and then as we go through into the weekend again, it's rather showery. Just trying to settle down a little bit down in the south and southeast, warming up slightly, coming a bit drier, but out to the north and west still quite unsettled. Losing the flooding rains, but still pretty showery. Into the early part of next week, just making a bit more of this build of high pressure to our south early next week. So away from Scotland and Northern Ireland, that would turn England and Wales mainly dry. And I think by this point, Tuesday next week away, we'll probably be seeing temperatures getting back close to average, which is around sort of 20 degrees in the middle of June. Heading up towards day 10, that's how we're looking. So again, very sort of in between charts. We're neither under high pressure, but nor are we under low pressure. So just rather flabby, probably a reasonable amount of dry and warm weather down in the south. Always a risk of showers up in the north. In the more extended range, this low pressure then starts to come in from off the Atlantic. So that brings a return to more unsettled conditions for a time. Although, as we get to the end of the GFS parallel run, which is Thursday, 27th of June, looking rather, again, in between, with closer ridge of high pressure from the Azores, but still low pressures out to the north and west. So that's one of those charts that is neither settled or unsettled as we get to the end of June. Very, very inconclusive at the moment, I think, what's happening for that last week of June. That includes the all-important Glastonbury period. Of course, Glasto updates. I've been asked about this daily now. Glasto updates will begin at Glastonbury from Friday. So if you're waiting for the countdown to Glastonbury to start, Friday will be update number 1, when it will be the full Glastonbury period will be within the time frame of the extended GFS. So not long to wait now. This is the ECMWF. Again, low pressure over the country on Friday, bringing showery conditions into the weekend. Looking rather mixed, particularly for north and west parts of the country. Just a little bit of a ridge across France might bring some drier and slightly warmer weather to southern and southeastern parts of the country early next week. Again, we get this sort of ridge building across England and Wales. Low pressure is out to the north and west. So by Tuesday next week, by this time next week, maybe seeing temperatures back sort of to average around 20-21 degrees in the southeast. A very more extended range with the ECM. It does actually get very warm. Low pressure sort of stalls to the west of Ireland, and got this ridge down to our southeast and east. And that does start to push up some quite warm, if not fairly hot air from the south. There's the upper air temperatures for Thursday next week. We are bringing the 15 Celsius isotherm into East Anglia and Southeast England. That's just about enough, probably, to get you to 30 degrees in the extreme southeast. 30 degrees is a hot 86 Fahrenheit. Although it does, again, look very, very flimsy and very short-lived affair. because by Friday the 21st, day 10, I think we've got a fungi breakdown going on here, or got a cold front anyway pushing across the country with cooler air waiting in the wings. As the upper air temperatures, you see the heat is beginning to be shunted off into more central parts of Europe, and cooler air heading back in from off the Atlantic. And of course, where we go beyond that, we saw it in the GFS, very inconclusive, and unfortunately we can't show you the ECM ensembles today from the Icelandic Met Office, because I can't get on the Icelandic Met Office website, but hopefully things will be back to normal tomorrow. So finally, we'll just finish off with CFS V2. These are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. The first week period will take us from the 11th to the 17th of June. The coming week has strong northern blocking to our north. High pressure is around Greenland, Iceland. Low pressure is to the south of us. So it remains very cool and unsettled. Jet streams dipping down like that on the cool side of the jet. So just cool, unsettled and showery conditions for the next few days into week 2. This is how we're looking. Again, a lot of northern blocking, maybe going over more towards the Canadian side of the Arctic. Low pressure out to the southwest, so still quite unsettled. I think maybe turning a bit warmer though. Jet streams possibly pushing a bit further northwards. And we may be starting to pull some air up from the south, pull the air up from the south. So I think probably still quite unsettled there in week 2, but maybe a little bit warmer. Then we go through to week 3, and we find that the blocking, if anything, is coming back towards our side of Greenland and the Arctic. So again, high pressure sitting up to our north, low pressure down to our southwest. That looks quite unsettled. Again, could be relatively warm, might be pulling winds up from a southwesterly direction, but quite unsettled. And the northern blocking coming back towards Greenland is a bit of a concern. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 2nd to the 8th of July, and this looks pretty poor. Actually, we've got a mid-Atlantic ridge then, high pressure extending through the middle of the Atlantic up to Greenland, with a trough of low pressure over UK and going up to Scandinavia. So that's unsettled and potentially very cool as well for the start of July. Look what we'd be doing with the wind, something a bit like that. So, I mean, that looks pretty grim, actually. The winds coming in from the north or from the northeast. And with the trough over and to the northeast, the bus is unsettled too through the first week of July. That's not what you want to be seeing in July. You don't want to be seeing high pressure around Greenland and a mid-Atlantic ridge in July. But that's what the CFS is showing today for week 4. That's a very long way out. I think I've got uncertainty really for as early as next week, actually, although it does look as though next week will be sort of an improving type week. So it begins over weekend, it goes on into next week. We will gradually warm things up a little bit, probably going back close to average by the early part of next week with temperatures, and drying out a little bit as well, although maybe still unsettled in the northwest. But I think definitely we're going to lose these sort of flooding rains and exceptionally cold temperatures that we've had over the last day or so, and we will go to something more typical for June. Then there's a chance that we might pull up some quite hot air towards the end of next week, just for a day or so. It's not going to last very long, but we might get our first sort of plume of the summer. If it does come off, it could get temperatures close to 30 degrees in the southeast, but it's only a day, 1 day, 2 day wonder. And then we're into thunderstorms and cooler air from the Atlantic probably. Beyond that, looking towards the final week of June, very, very inconclusive with that at the moment. I think for now, we've got to leave that alone. Right, so that's it for your second video update for today. Don't forget to check out the ECMWF 30-day forecast. And later on, we'll have that final update for the folks heading off to Le Mans. That's all for now, though, and thanks for watching.